Math 107, Spring 2013, Exam 2, Part A. First question, simplify 3/2 minus 1 over 9 times 27 over 2. So first multiplication, we can simplify 9 and 27, that gives us 3 over 2, and we have 3/2 minus 3/2, 0. Problem 2, solve for x. 2 times x minus 3 plus 5 is equal to 6, x minus 9. Expand first 2 times x, and 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Then it's a linear equation, so bring x's to the left hand side, everything else to the right hand side. So you have negative 4x is equal to negative 8. Divide both sides by negative 4, so you have negative 8 divided by negative 4. That's going to be positive 2. Problem 3. Factor completely x to the 4th minus 81. This is a difference of two squares. So first we factor into x squared minus 9 and x squared plus 9. And then x squared minus 9 is another difference of two squares, which factors into x minus 3 times x plus 3. X squared plus 9 doesn't factor anymore. Problem 4. Subtract and simplify. Leave the denominator in factored form. So the common denominator for these two rational expressions is x times x plus 2 times x plus 3. So the first rational expression has to be expanded by x plus 3, so you multiply numerator and the denominator by x plus 3. And the second rational expression has to be expanded by x times x plus 2. So you multiply the numerator, so this is x that used to be here. You multiply it by x times x plus 2 to get the common denominator. And then you expand the numerator, so you have x plus 3 here. And over here, x squared times x, which is x cubed. And then x squared times 2, which is 2x squared. And at the end, you have to distribute the negative over these two terms. So without the negative, without distribution of negative, you'd have x cubed plus 2x squared. But if you distribute the negative, it's going to be negative x cubed minus 2x squared. Leave the denominator in factored form, so we leave the denominator as it is. Problem 5, divide and simplify. Right answer in factored form. So first, I'm going to factor all numerators and all denominators. So the first expression becomes x minus 1, x plus 1. The denominator is x minus 1 times x minus 1. And then you multiply. I'm going to change the division to multiplication, but at the same time, I'm going to reciprocate the second expression. So now x plus 2 is in the numerator, and the denominator, the new denominator is old numerator. So that becomes x times x plus 1 when you factor. And then once you have multiplication here, you simplify any numerator with any denominator. So you have x minus 1, x minus 1, x plus 1, x plus 1. And what's left is x plus 2 times 1 divided by x minus 1 times x. That's your answer. Problem 6. Simplify 2 over x plus 5 divided by 3x plus 1 over x. One of the ways to simplify it is by multiplying the whole top and the whole bottom by x. So technically we're expanding this rational expression. So now if you multiply the entire numerator by x, you're going to get 2 over x times x gives you 2, plus 5 times x gives you 5x. And the denominator, 3x times x, is 3x squared, plus 1 over x times x gives you 1. Another way to do it would be to combine the denominator, combine the numerator, and then divide the numerator by the denominator by reciprocating the denominator and multiplying. Simplify in problem 7, right answer with only positive exponents. 16x squared to the power of 1/2 times 3x to the power of negative 2. So we have to raise both 16 and x squared to the power of 1/2 because you see parentheses. So you're going to have 16 to the power of 1/2 is the same as the square root of 16, gives you 4. And then x squared to the power of 1/2. You multiply the exponents, so it's going to be 2 times 1/2 is 1, so that's why you have 4x. And then 3x to the negative second power It means you have to raise 3 to the negative second power, which gives you 1 over 9, because 3 squared is 9, and raised to the negative power reciprocates it. And x to the negative second power is 1 over x squared. And then just multiply, and you get 4 divided by 9x, because x cancels out. You have x in the numerator here and x squared in the denominator, so I simplified x's, so it has 4 over 9x. Notice the instructions say to write answers with only positive exponents, so writing is at 4 over 9x to the negative first would be not good. 8, rationalize the denominator, 5 over square root of 2 minus 2. In order to rationalize it, we have to multiply top and bottom by the conjugate of the denominator. So you multiply the numerator by root 2 plus 2 and the denominator by the same thing, root 2 plus 2. And then the denominator, we're going to have 2 minus 4 because you're going to have the difference of two squares. The square root of 2 times the square root of 2. So square root of 2 squared is 2. And then minus 2 squared is 4. In the numerator, you multiply 5 and square root of 2, and then plus 5 times 2, which is 10. And in the denominator, you have 2 minus 4, which is negative 2. So it's definitely not part A. Definitely not C because of the denominator 6. Definitely not D, different numerators. So it could be E or B. But this negative in the denominator could be pulled out in front of the entire fraction, and it becomes minus, and then 5 square root of 2 plus 10 divided by 2. If you were to distribute the negative in the numerator, it's going to be negative 5 root 2 minus 10, which is not the same as in part E. In part E, you have positive 5 root 2 minus 10. So this would be negative 5 root 2 minus 10. Problem 9, add and simplify. Radical 16 is the same as 4. Radical 8 can be simplified into 2 radical 2. Then radical 2 can't be simplified and 3 can't be simplified. And then you add 4 and 3, gives you 7. And then 3 times 2 is 6, so you have 6 radical 2. 6 radical 2 minus 1 radical 2 is going to be 5 radical 2. And then you can't add anymore. This is your final answer. Find the diagonal of the rectangle whose dimensions are 4 inches by 5 inches. So I drew a little rectangle here. One of the sides is 5, the other side is 4. We have to find the diagonal. So we have a right triangle here. We're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the diagonal. So its diagonal squared is going to be 4 squared plus 5 squared. Now square 4 and square 5, you get 16 plus 25. 16 plus 25 is 41. So the diagonal squared is 41, which means that the diagonal itself is positive square root of 41. And that's answer C. Problem 11. Find the volume of a cylinder with base radius 3 inches and height 10 inches. The volume of a cylinder, here is more work. The volume of a cylinder is pi r squared times h. So the area of the base times height. Since the base is a circle, the area of the circle is pi r squared, and then you multiply it by the height of the entire cylinder. So now the radius is 3, the height of the cylinder is 10, and you have what? Pi times 3 squared times 10. 3 squared is 9, 9 times 10 is 90, 90 times pi, and that's answer E. Problem 12. Simplify square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared times the cube root of 8. Now we can't distribute the radical over these two terms. It's illegal in mathematics. So first we have to square the 3, square the 4. You have 9 plus 16 under the square root. At the same time, cube root of 8 is the same as 2. So this radical is going to be multiplied by 2. Then 9 plus 16 is 25. So you have radical of 25 multiplied by 2. And then radical of 25 is 5. So you have 5 times 2 is 10.